My name is Jamie Atkinson, founder of podcastclosing.com, and this show is built for 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs with podcasts who are looking to grow and scale their customer acquisition using that show. If you're a 6 or a 7 figure entrepreneur with a podcast and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own podcast journey, go to top100interview.com. Now over to your glamorous host, Brittany Chetyrbok, and don't forget to subscribe for daily interview content.
Babba Sam, let's talk about head trash. How does that get in our way of business, of, healing, of living our best lives? I mean, you have an incredible inspirational story. I don't know if that's where you want to start off and lead us into what you do now. I'll leave that up to you, but you have a huge story and, there's a lot behind the head trash that we carry around daily with us that really hold us back.
Yeah, so Britt, it's great to be here. Yeah, so head trash really creates all the issues in our life. Everything that isn't working out in our favor is because of our root beliefs that we're not even aware of are creating a limitation. Maybe you have a goal, for like making 50,000 a week or 50,000 a month in your business or 100,000. But why stop there? Why can't you do that in a week? Why is it a month? Or why is it talking to some entrepreneurs recently, like we have this goal to build this business to this in 5 years. I'm like, why 5 years? Where did that come from? Is this their mental belief system that it's going to take all this work to build up the business 5 years to do this? I'm like, why is this true? Why are you taking this as truth? Why are you holding yourself back? That you can't do it quicker. Then these entrepreneurs were completely locked up and past studies and everything else taking 5 years for this. Like, why are you taking that as your way? Your way is different. And it's really about diving into that deeper essence within us that can point us to that way. But we always get these mental beliefs, this head trash, or the opinions of others from the books, the stories we're reading, that we're hearing, and it just creates self-imposed limitations. And that was my whole life, was all these self-imposed limitations that were holding me back. And that's why, I stayed sick for 40 years just about, because I was constantly in these belief systems that weren't supporting me, that we are this essence, if you will. We're the one that sees through the eyes. We get so attached to this identity, this body, this identity, and it just holds us back. It really holds us back. And we want to break free from that and go beyond those stories, beyond that head trash, and really live the life that we want to live in all areas of our life.
This is huge. Now, you had a paranormal story that really gave you a good idea of, where to go next, right? Do you mind touching on that? I find that very interesting, and maybe anyone out there listening, maybe they will be able to relate.
Yeah, so basically when I was 40 years old, I had multiple sclerosis. So I was a couch potato. I was disabled. I didn't really do a whole lot, work the day job, go home, crash on the sofa. I really had no energy. But I used to watch these ghost hunting shows. But it was TV. I didn't know if it was real or fake. So there was a ghost hunt coming to my town. Like, I can go to this. So I went to this ghost hunt. And I had experiences that I could not explain, because I was always the type of person I had to see it to believe it. It had to be literally tangible for me. So I was at this ghost hunt. Then we had a flashlight going on and off by command. They would ask a question, would turn off or on based on the question or the responses. So it was doing that. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it wasn't my flashlight. So I put out my flashlight. It did the same thing. Then a little bit later, I was on a bench. I felt somebody sitting next to me that I could not see. And that was really weird. Like, somebody sat next to me, but there's no one there. So after that ghost hunt, I was like, well, that was really interesting. What did I experience? So I started to read different books from like mediums, because mediums supposedly speak to the dead. So I felt like, let me read some books from mediums and try to figure out what I experienced. What is this?
What is this? Yeah.
So it was like, okay. Then they talked about meditation in one of these books. And it was like, one of the benefits of meditation is inner peace. I'm like, I need inner peace. I'm so stressed out, so overwhelmed with life. Nothing is working out. Just life is very difficult, very painful, very hard. So I need inner peace. So we began that night with a simple 5-minute practice. There's really no steps. It was just like, I was under the belief that meditation means you stop thinking. So I'll be sitting there quietly, mind would start thinking, be like, stop thinking, mind thinking, stop thinking. And I was constantly, in this weird loop where the mind would start thinking, I would tell it to stop thinking. So after about a week or two of that, I'm like, wait a second, that's a thought chasing a thought. If I'm aware of my thoughts, then I'm not my thoughts. If I'm not my thoughts, then who am I? And I sat with that question for a while, who am I? A few weeks. Then I just can't explain it. Out of the blue, I just heard a voice say, perfect spirit. That's who I really am. Everyone listening here is spirit, but we forget this. Spirit is the one who sees through the eyes. And if this doesn't make sense, you can see that you had all these different bodies throughout your life, from a 5-year-old to a 10-year-old to a 21-year-old. You had all these different bodies. If you had all these different bodies, where did you go? No place. The one who sees through the eyes does not change. So once I had that realization, that's what's it called, self-realization, is who we really are, of spirit, soul, consciousness. Whatever resonates with you, that is who we are. So once I knew myself as spirit, my health issues went away. Like I had multiple sclerosis, bipolar, migraine, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, PTSD. I had this really mountain of ailments. And when I stopped taking my mind as the source of truth, that was incurable, that I needed all these medicines and all these stories that I later called the head trash, and I let them all go, the body came back into harmony. And now I just help people get rid of this head trash, that it's just garbage, that we need to go beyond that, see who we really are, and really to realize, like if you're sick or things not working out, that you live in your body, you know it the best. For me, it was my doctor's responsibility to fix me. And they weren't fixing me. My health was getting worse and worse and worse because I was listening to the opinions of others or my own mental stories. But when I let them all go and followed my heart, you could say, or the soul, then life just is magical now. That there's no more limitations. I'm not defined. I'm free. It's just like, that's just a mental story. It's not true. I'm meant for
This
better
is huge.
things. It's not true. We can move beyond that.
So what we're telling ourselves is not always true. Those limiting beliefs are what is holding us back. So what you found worked for you really well was the meditation, right? To bring you back to inner peace.
Yeah, back to inner peace, but with meditation, we need to be careful because I was fortunate that I never had a meditation teacher, because if my OCD brain you had to sit in a certain way, hold your hands a certain way, breathe a certain way. I've been so focused on that, and that's
That you
another
wouldn't be in this
form.
state of meditation.
Right, you'll be so right. You're not really in this moment. You're in the rules, and the rules and restrictions are usually head trash and they're self-imposed. And sometimes we're not even aware of this. And what comes to me, like I worked with a woman in her 30s, always having relationship issues. She doesn't understand why. So I can't explain it. When I work with clients, I get quiet and I just sit. I said, "What happened at 6 years old? I see you're sitting someplace, you're watching something. What's going on here?" She's like, "Oh, at 6 years old, we moved to a new location and there was a dance recital and I couldn't participate because I was new to the company." "Oh, so you've had a belief that you weren't good enough." And this transpired to her 30-year-old self.
Wow, this is huge. So there is a root cause to this that's holding us back, that is creating these limited beliefs, from what you understand, right?
Right. Yeah, the buried in the subconscious usually become, a default behavior pattern that we're not even aware of, that she had this belief that she wasn't good enough, that she doesn't measure up. And once we found that, we could pull it out and say, oh, that's just garbage, and just energetically get in there and just erase it. And I see this with entrepreneurs and others as well, where they're having these belief systems that you have to work hard for money. You have to do this, you have to do this structure, this routine that might not be in your best interest. So we have to see what is your best way forward, because you live in this body, you know the best way forward. What subconscious beliefs are holding you back that you're not even aware of? That's where, a coach is helpful. They can point that out. That's why I call myself a head trash healer, because I go in there and I erase the head trash. I can't explain my process. I go into this deep space where I'm just still and I just see what's going there and I just erase it. Like I can't explain. I never trained. Like, how can I get quiet and see what's going with this woman, at age 6? The mind can't logic that out. So it's the same thing when I'm seeing people, I just see things and like, what's this? What's this? And sometimes I won't even talk because that could add and reinforce the head trash. So I really don't like to get a lot into the story because the story is the past. We really want to be here, then move forward from there and really, live life on our terms and not being defined. And most people are defined. And they always say like there's this great awakening, but I'm not seeing it. If I go into these support groups, I say 90%, 95% of people have no concept that they're consciousness, spirit, or soul, or it's an intellectual knowing. They don't have that deep, direct experience of peace, of quiet. When I talk to people, work with them, it's usually funny when I see their face. They're very heavy, very stressed. By afterwards, they're smiling, they're happy because they're remembering who they really are, that we're naturally happy, we're naturally full of life. And it's all this baggage that we're carrying that we just need to let go of.
This baggage just holds us back, right? Like, so this is inspirational. I mean, you went from all these things that were holding you back, that were quote unquote incurable, that you were able to overcome and live, a prosperous life. Now, I kind of want everyone to have a good idea of exactly, what you can offer them. I mean, you've come from being very sick, disabled for 38 years, and now you're healthy for the past 10 years plus. Now, what do you offer other people going through the same situation? I know you do some coaching. I just want to give you some time to speak on that so that, people do know that they can reach out to someone who's been there, done that, has gone through it all.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I can't logically explain what I do. I sit quietly with people. I lead them into their spirit, their soul. And most people, when I'm done a session, I say, how you doing? They're like peaceful or calm. I hear that 95% of the time they feel peaceful and calm. When they say those words, I know they're aligned to who they really are, their spirit, their soul. So that's where my greatest gift is, where I'm just sitting there and I'm just erasing the garbage, if you will, energetically. And I can't explain how this works where the mind can accept it, if you will. And it just reminds me of the last neurologist appointment I had for multiple sclerosis. The doctor questioned me for 45 minutes trying to quantify what I did, and I couldn't because it doesn't make logical sense. How can someone sit there and clear head trash? It makes no sense. But that's what I do. I have these images, these flashes, and I may ask questions once in a while, like, what's this about? What's this about? Or I might just know and just clear it. Just energetically just clear it. It doesn't belong there. It's like stuck stagnant energy in the body. And it just has to be moved, that we are this bright light and this mind is filled with darkness, which is the limitations. I'm just clearing that out, just setting people free.
Love this. This is incredible. Well, Babba, Sam, Shelley, thank you so much for coming on today to talk about, vulnerable pieces throughout your journey that you were opening up with us about, and sharing that with not just myself, my entire huge audience. So I appreciate that. I think it's incredible to be able to go from one point so low in your life where you feel like you're just nothing's ever going to get better, to like getting to such a great place of peace and now helping others do the same thing. That is an inspiration. So thank you so much for coming on today. And what would be the best way for everyone to, connect with you?
Well, they can check out my website, babbasamshelley.com. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I have my groups on Facebook, Beyond Head Trash, and for the chronically ill, relief from chronic illness. I'm out there. I'm everywhere. Every day I'm releasing a different video on YouTube and with my chronic illness group, and just really making people aware of this, that you don't have to, you can live life on your terms, that you're the author of your script of your life, that you can have anything you want. The only thing that's in your way is, your head trash that is usually buried in the subconscious that you're not even aware of. But you're here for great things.
Amazing. Well, thank you so very much for coming on today and getting into detail with us. I wish my episodes were longer. Group, if you're listening and enjoyed, please like and subscribe. You guys go check out Babba Sam's Facebook groups and all his different communities, YouTube, everything's in the show notes that we need. And if you'd like to come on and inspire us, just like he did today, please go to www.podcastrebels.com. Thank you, Babba Sam. Bye, guys. Catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, Britt.
Hey everyone, I hope you really enjoyed that episode. As always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And here's 3 ways I can help you in your business for free. 1, check out my video on how we're building a pipeline that produces 30 plus prime sales calls every single week using podcast setters and a basic interview funnel. And this is actually how I was able to quit social media forever. You can go to podcastrebels.com/setters. 2, if you're a 6 or a 7 figure entrepreneur with a podcast, we actually want to interview you on one of our top 100 shows. Head to top100interview.com. And then 3, download our podcast closing formula. It shows you how to create a podcast sales team that books out your sales calendar each week using the podcast closing client attraction method. And you can go to podcastrebels.com/podcast formula. Now at podcastclosing.com, we help 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs with podcasts create a system for predictable client acquisition without relying on paid advertising or social media by building out podcast sales teams. Now, if you want help turning your podcast into a high-ticket client acquisition machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Go to podcastrebels.com/chat. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next interview.